Hi y'all, I'm Claudia with Eat Color with Claudia, and today's recipe is a braised green cabbage. And I tell you what, this is an amazing recipe for many reasons. First, it was found in my mom's golden folder, and this is where she kept all her fabulous recipes. And I tell you what, it was also written by Molly Stevens, who is award-winning cook and author. She called this recipe World's Best Braised Green Cabbage. You can't get a better rating with a name like that. It's sweet, it's tender, it's just green cabbage, onion, carrot, salt, pepper, chicken stock, olive oil, crushed red pepper. That's all. Now, if you want this recipe to work for you, it's important to pick a cabbage that weighs about 2 pounds, because if it's too big, it won't work good for you. You want to start by peeling off any of these outer leaves that are kind of hanging there. Maybe they're bruised. Now you want to cut your cabbage in half. And now if your root is sticking out kind of far, you can go ahead and whack it off and maybe give it a little bit more of a stable place for it to stand. And then just down the center, just go ahead and cut it. And you can always just pick it up and whack it like this if you can't get it to cut. There we go. Now we want to cut this in wedges, so each one will be cut into 4 pieces. And what's so great about this side dish is that it'll feed like 8 sides. And this cabbage was like not even $2. So what a great economical dish this is on top of everything. Now just set these aside and keep them intact in the wedges. And we're going to get ready to slice a pretty large onion. This is kind of small, so I might do 1.5, but a large onion. Just slice them thin. And as you can see, I went with 1.5 onions because these are really small. And they, regardless if you're an onion lover or not, they just melt in your mouth in this dish. Only one more vegetable. She calls for carrots. She calls for 1 large carrot, but I have found from experience I really like the color, so I'm just going to put 2 of these carrots. So I'm going to get them, take the skin off, and we're going to slice these 1/4-inch slices. And you want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. And you need like a baking dish. 9 by 13 works great. Begin by coating the bottom and the sides of your pan with a little bit of olive oil. I like to use a brush. If I'm not using my fingers, I'm using a brush. Now arrange your wedges at the bottom, and they should fit side by side versus overlapping each other. Now if you started off with too big of a cabbage and they don't fit, you can always trim some to get them to fit. But actually, I think we're good. They're gonna lay just nicely in there. Okay, now scatter in your onions. And now your carrots. Now we need some liquid, 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now, if you're not real familiar with braising, it just basically means that it's gonna cook slow and for a long time in a low oven, and usually with some liquid. And now I just poured in, this is 1/4 cup of some chicken stock. Okay, let's spice this up a little bit. About a teaspoon of some kosher salt. And we'll sprinkle it. And then some freshly ground black pepper. And some crushed red pepper. Now, the recipe says 1/8 of a teaspoon, which really isn't much. So I'm putting about a 1/4 teaspoon, but just adjust it to how you like your spice. Now it's time to cover this. And the instructions say to cover it with aluminum foil, which we will do, but I just don't like my food touching aluminum foil. So I always like to put a little piece of parchment paper to touch the food. And then I'll get the aluminum foil. Okay, now you want to cover this nice and tightly, because this is how all the magic takes place, right? So it's gonna be just infused in here while it's cooking. Gets all that humidity and moisture going, and the onions and the carrots and the cabbage are just going to mingle together and cook to the most delightful flavor you've ever had. This is gonna take a total of 2 hours and 15 minutes to cook. And so we're gonna put it in though for the first hour, and then we're gonna flip it, but I'll show you. So in it goes. Okay, it's been 1 hour. Let's take a peek and see how it's doing. Ooh, looks great. And now we wanna flip everybody. And I find that it kind of works best using tongs and a spoon, because we want to try to keep everybody intact. And you know what, if the wedges fall apart, it's okay. You could just, patch them and put them back together. So we'll flip these, and then we'll put them back in the oven for another hour. Okay, it's the second hour, alarm went off. I'm gonna take this out, but I need to change my temperature to 400 degrees. And this is really called the world's best green cabbage recipe for, like I say, a lot of reasons. But another is that it tastes even better heated up. So like for me, it's the morning, and I'm gonna heat it up and have it out for tonight's dinner, or you can make it the night before. Either way, it's so good, but let's get it out. Now we're gonna add some balsamic vinegar. Okay, now we want to drizzle about a tablespoon and a half of some balsamic vinegar. Do you want to flip this again? And I like to just try to drizzle some of my carrots and the onions on top. And now we're going to cook this 15 more minutes with no lid. And there it is. Look how it got just a little charred on the edges. Scrumptious. I wanted to plate this for you so you can just see how beautiful this is. I love just putting a little parsley on there. Melt in your mouth, delicious. You barely need to chew. The balsamic vinegar gives it just that perfect sweetness. Oh, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you subscribe to the channel. And until next week, y'all, bon appetit.